Your body wants to talk. So today we are going to share 7 messages from your body that are going to truly change the way you see this vehicle that you live in. To start this off, I want to share why the body was coming through. The body was like, guys, I am the chief of staff to the soul. My purpose is to make sure that the soul lives into its purpose, which I thought was so beautiful. It kind of just felt that it was being misused a little bit or misunderstood. And funny enough, there is this whole team or this messaging really coming from the divine. Like it felt like almost like an angelic realm that was coming and just like blasting our planet with this message about the body. And we see this already, right? Like there was this wellness industry that like came out of nowhere, it seems like, over the last few years, and exercise and all this. And these guides are really saying that like they are responsible for that messaging, and that a lot of you listening are even kind of soldiers to that message, right? Like maybe you're doing this for your business or for your work, but there is just this up level of understanding of what the body actually is and what it actually is meant to do, especially when it comes to our spiritual path and to our purpose. So chief of staff, think about that. Like I think about Kat, who's definitely like my chief of staff. Like I cannot do what I do without her, right? So that's what like the body is. Like the body really is like, listen, like I work in many ways for the soul. I am, the first line of protection, and I'm the first line of communication when it comes to what the soul needs to be able to do what it needs to do this lifetime. So I was really excited to share these messages. I truly think it will change the way we see this funny meat suit that we're in. Message number 1. The body wants you to know that it can help make your dreams come true. I was like, wow, what a big sell. And what it was showing me is a pyramid. So it was saying like the body is the pyramid where the light goes through and reflects into this earthly place that we live in. So the soul being the light, it needs something to reflect and to really be able to be its vehicle. And that is what this pyramid does. And depending on our understanding of the pyramid, and this is not really about like, oh, take better care of me, like, to shame you or anything like that. It's so not about that. It actually is trying to explain the technology of the body when it comes to what the soul can actually do within the body. So the body was just saying like, listen, like I can make things happen for you if you use me. There's many different ways of using me, rather than just thinking like, you need to eat healthy because like you should, It's really like, no, I'm a pyramid. I am actually like a piece of technology that really lets the soul do what it came here to do. Message number 2, this one made me laugh. It says, the head does not count. And this is a message specifically for our star seeds. If you don't know what a star seed is, it's really just this concept that as souls, we reincarnate, and most of us are reincarnating on Earth, of course, like over and over again. But there's some souls that are here that are from other planets or dimensions or star systems that are pretty new to Earth or pretty new to like this earthly body. Sometimes there's some souls that are just so advanced and they haven't come to Earth in a long time, and they're kind of like confused by this body thing. So these souls tend to like to stay in the like head area, like they don't really appreciate the body. And there's so many of us like listening that are like that. Our kids, we have a lot of kids like this these days, and the body was like, no, like you can't fight it. Like the soul really wants to sit all the way down to the toes, which is why we talk about grounding so much. It's saying like, if you think being in your body is from like the neck up, you're wrong, because the head, which I thought was so interesting, is more like this protective case that protects the engine. Like it protects like the hard drive. And then our eyes, our like nose and our mouth are these funny things, like these like funny buttons that project what's happening, that's being powered by the mind. And it was saying that like energy comes from the feet all the way down up to the head, and then like projects from these like funny buttons that we have. But that's really what the head is. Like that's really what the face is. It's kind of like the it's the interface, but the true energy is coming from like the root, from the legs all the way up. So as souls, sometimes we like to just hang out in the head because it sounds like more interesting, or it's easier to be there than to be like in the full body. But it's saying to get the real power of what the body can do, and like the real power of that pyramid technology, you want to make sure that your energy is grounded all the way down to the earth, because it's saying that the earth is like we're like a plug that's being connected to the electricity. And when we put our feet in the ground and we really let our soul and our energy take up all the space all the way to our feet, and then it touches the ground, that's like the electricity. That's kind of almost like what turns us on. And a lot of us are like light bulbs walking around on earth that are actually not turned on because we're disconnected from the power source, which in our case is the earth. So yeah, it's like you want to think about like a lamp, right? Like the brain, the head is like that light bulb, right? Cool. So it lights up, and that's like what projects the light in a sense. And I think what they were meaning is like almost like our eyes are, projecting this light. But then we need the base where the little wire of electricity and the current comes through, so we can actually like plug in to the wall where the electricity is. But in our case, it's plugging into the ground, which, by the way, is, guys, I need to tell you this funny story. Kat is listening, who edits my podcast, and is laughing. But I don't know. My trainer was wearing these funny shoes the other day. And I was like, I've seen these shoes before. I need to ask him about it. And he's like, oh yeah, they're the Vivo something barefoot shoes. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then funny enough, I think it was the day before I had a conversation with Kat, and we were talking about, I was like buying new wardrobe pieces. And I was like, yeah, now I'm about to start buying new shoes. And she's like, oh, I can never like change my shoes. I wear these barefoot shoes and I have to wear them. And I was like, what are these barefoot shoes? And she introduces this to me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy my first pair. Like my trainer told me about them. Like she told me about them. I'm going to buy my pair. Guys, these shoes have changed my life. Like, I have arthritis in my knee. So I'm always like looking for something that can like, any little things that can make it better. Like I'll do. Dude, I called my dad and I was like, what the F, Dad? Because my dad's a physician, and he's a pediatrician. So when I was little, he was definitely involved in my care. And I was like, Dad, what in the world? Like, why didn't anybody tell me like how important like feet health is? Like these shoes are changing my life. It has eliminated my inflammation like in a really big way. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but like big. And I'm like, this is such a stupid little hack that like nobody told us about. He's like, no, Nicole, I know, it makes sense. That's my Cuban accent of my dad. No, Nicole, I know. I was like, well, why didn't anybody tell me? But anyways, the promise of these shoes is that you can like feel the ground, and it's the truth. Like I go hiking with them, I can like feel the earth. And somehow it has given me so much power recently that I'm just like enjoying so much. I hope I'm spending a bunch of money on barefoot shoes. I'm buying them for everybody in the family right now. And I'm really hoping that it keeps giving back to me. It's only a few weeks in. But I was like kind of laughing when I got this message. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like why I'm enjoying these barefoot shoes, because really our connection, how we really turn our light on, is by making sure our energy is fully in our body and grounded to the earth. There's a bunch of different things we can do to ground. Barefoot shoes apparently are one of them. But I just like to picture my energy just going all the way down to my feet. Things like yoga or exercises where you're like stretching and actually like seeing your toes and seeing your fingers, all of that is super important to be connected to the body and fully grounded in the body. Things like going to the chiropractor, even just like breathing and doing like a body scan, that's really important. If you've taken any sort of class with me, or if you're in the subscription, you've heard me do the grounding meditation. That's the way that I do it. It doesn't have to be super complicated. And of course, being with nature is super helpful. So I thought this was so cool that, again, the head is not necessarily like what we think of it. Like in a weird way, the body sees that as a little bit of separate, but the real body, they felt like, is like neck down. Message number 3. The body council, as we'll call them, was like, listen, if you want to simplify manifestation, they were like, oh, these humans, they make manifestation so complicated. And they believe that the body is so important to manifestation, because manifestation is the soul understands what it wants to create. It sees it, it visualizes it, it understands it, but now it needs to bring it into physical form. There is no way to manifest by bypassing the body. So they were like, listen, we are like the gatekeepers to manifestation. Like you have to use the body to manifest. So that's why visualization is not the only thing. Like you actually have to bring it into the physical body. So they said that if you want to simplify manifestation, let's say like you don't even know what you want. Like you want good things, but you like don't even know what that is, or you want whatever is best for your soul, but you don't know what your soul wants. They were saying like to sit in meditation. It was a tall order, I thought, because they were saying 30 minutes of meditation, like just that very simple meditation where you're just connecting to your breath. And they're saying hold the vibration of peace. It's just kind of like feels great to be in my body, like this trusting kind of peace energy. And they said that this calmness that you're providing your body with for 30 minutes, basically what it does is that when you're in real life, right, like you're out of meditation and you're doing your real life thing, they're saying that it calms you so much that when you're in life, you're going to be able to see and be alert to the things that are for you. Because they're saying that sometimes like we do not move forward or see the things that are for us because our body is in such a state of like stress and like we're in our head, all these things. And like there's this default energy that's going through our body that's not really letting us focus and see the opportunities. This council's saying like the opportunities are there. They're in front of us. But because we're not used to being calm in our body, we do not have the attention or the focus to catch what is for us and therefore follow it. So they were saying like, if you want to simplify it, like you do not have to work so hard to manifest and like decide what you want or how it looks like, or, you know, visualize this. They were saying like, hold that vibration in your body for 30 minutes. And then when you're out, you're going to be able to be like, oh, that's for me. I need to follow that. Like I need to go after that. And apparently it's very life-changing. I'm going to try to do it. It does feel like a tall order because I mean, 30 minutes of holding that vibration is probably a lot, but I'm going to try. I definitely don't do 30 minutes. I do a lot of breath work and that's like my meditation these days. But this like 30 minutes of calming the body so that we can see what's for us. And that alertness and that attention, what it's doing is that it serves as a magnetic field to what is for us. So they're saying that sometimes our manifestation problems are not because we're not magnetizing things to us, but we are not magnetizing to it. Does that make sense? So we kind of are like, oh, I'm not pulling these things to me. You know, like I want this and I want money and I want relationship, but I'm not pulling it towards me. But they're saying that we also have to be pulled to what is for us and that we are missing it often. So I think like maybe a perfect example might be dating. So it's like there are opportunities like for your person and like for a good person, and we're kind of waiting for it to like show up to us. But they're saying that if the body is in the right state, it should be able to go towards what is right for them. That actually reminds me of how I met Benny now that I think about it. I was at this party. It was my best friend's engagement party. I see Benny from across, it was an outdoor like pool area. Very Miami, guys. It was like the 32nd floor of a super high-rise building in downtown Miami in the pool area. And I see Benny like, you know, somewhere like through the party. He's very tall and he was like super good looking. And I just like a magnet walked towards him. I didn't think about it. I don't even know who I was talking to. I obviously like left some sort of conversation to walk towards this man. And it was this knowing that like, I need to go towards that. And I was just alert to it and I was attentive to it. I mean, I don't know how, because it's not like my body, there was no 30-minute meditations going on at the time, but that's really what I felt they were talking about. Like that the body can do that the body can support us in that, and that we don't have to wait as long, because they're saying that sometimes the manifestations take long because we're waiting to bring it towards us. Example, let's use Benny again. Benny and I had been to many same parties several times. Isn't that funny? And there's pictures of us at the same party and we didn't know each other. And I guess because maybe at the time I thought like this person was going to come to me or whatever. And that was taking long apparently. And at some point I decided to go towards it. And that's when it actually like came into my life. But maybe it could have come earlier. I don't know, because if I would have been more alert and my body would have been more relaxed, I would have seen him 2 parties earlier, let's say. So that's what they're saying, that like this actually speeds up manifestation because you can spot it and like just follow it much quicker than if you're waiting for it. Message number 4, also so interesting to me. Food. I was scared about food because I don't know if you guys know this, but you know, I'm Cuban. Like, I grew up in this household that, like, thankfully my dad was a pediatrician, so he introduced a bunch of health foods to us, but my mom was not cooking asparagus, guys, or whatever like Caucasians eat, broccoli. No, it was like yuca. It was like a lot of meat. We got some carrots every once in a while. But, you know, like, food was love. And funny enough, that was the message here. Food is love. So I was scared. I was like, oh gosh, like, please don't shame me about what I'm eating. Because I really am not a strict eater. And I didn't want to hear any of that. So I was afraid of asking about food, but they came at it and they were saying food is love. And they were saying that a lot of us, even those of us who are eating super healthily, I don't know if that's a word, but we are not eating from a place of love. And they specifically went after our protein mixes and our supplements, guys. Like, this cracked me up. They were like, oh my God, the supplements. Like, they were saying that if we were taking these supplements, because we're like, oh, you got to take the B and you got to take the D and you got to take this mushroom, but we're not like doing it from a place of like gratitude and love. Like, oh my God, like, thank you so much, mushroom. Like, I'm so excited that I discovered you. They were saying that a lot of us are taking like all sorts of supplements and they might as well not be doing anything for us, which I'm like, great, thanks guys. But the reason for that, they were saying that love, this kind of like idea of like eating from love, what it does is it creates an energy within this pyramid that is the body that creates the right digestion. It's this balance of digestion that we really need, because they're saying that the magic of food is really in the digestion process. Like, it's not so much that the food is magical, it's that our digestion process is very magical. And the way that the digestion process like takes what it needs, like lets go of the other thing, like it's supposed to work regularly where it can handle cookies and, you know, it can handle things because it has such a good sorting process. But if we are eating it without the energy of love, it cannot sort as well as it could with the energy of love. So what happens is that the sorting process becomes, kind of think of it as like a factory of people that are sorting because they love their job and they're so excited and they do it so well because there's so much passion, they love it. And then think about factory workers that hate their job and like don't want to be there and they almost feel like they're enslaved and they're not getting paid well, right? So when we take that supplement with no, you know, whatever, not even thinking about it, it really is the factory worker that is hating their job and sorting it like whatever. I think about when I used to work at Fox Searchlight in LA. We used to always joke because we would work, like a few of us would work so hard in the office to make sure that the garbage cans were like regular garbage and recycled garbage. And we were just so crazy about it and making sure that we were splitting it up. And then like this one night, one of my coworkers was working late and she was like, dude, you're not going to believe what I just saw last night. And I was like, what? And she's like, the crew comes in, like the cleaning crew comes in at night and they just mix all the recycling with the garbage. And I'm like, no, you are lying. And she's like, no, I'm serious. And it was just so funny for us because we were working so hard during the day. But like, I get it. Like, who knows what that cleaning crew is getting paid? It is late at night. Like, they don't like their job, so they don't take any pride of it. I get it, you know? So that's kind of what our system looks like when we're not loving on what we're putting into our body. And so then I was like, oh, okay. So I asked, I was like, well, then I can just love myself and love the process every time I eat a cookie and I can have 6 of them. And they challenged me. They were like, try to hold the vibration of love with 6 cookies. Like, try to do it. And I didn't have 6 cookies, but I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I guess that would be actually pretty hard to do. They were like, yeah, if you can hold that love, like maybe for like 1 ice cream, like, but to hold that love over and over again, it is going to be like a misalignment to your body. So they were saying like, you can't even like trick yourself into loving some things that are like not good for you. So they were saying that you'll see that you'll feel more gratitude for, funny enough, the things that are actually good for you, like for plants or, you know, whatever it is that you're eating, maybe even an animal, like you'll feel more gratitude towards that than trying to do it with processed food, because the processed food's not alive. So it's hard to feel like gratitude for something that is dead. So we want to digest with love and not obligation. Going to be a big game changer. So we can focus more on the digestion process than the actual eating of food. Like almost like if you know there's some like, questionable things in your diet, don't worry about it. It was like kind of focus more on how it feels going down and like what you're feeling. And also that your body will very much like just out of love tell you what it likes. And food is not a shame thing. The body was saying that, again, like magnets, like manifesting, if there's an intention, like let's say the brain has an intention, it has this intention of what it wants to create. What happens is that the body wants to be a servant to what the brain wants to create, like kind of like to that third eye is projecting a future, and the body wants to be a servant to that projection, to like what, that dream that wants to become true. So the body will then try to magnetize food that will help that happen. So it's not that the body is shaming you, because you might be visualizing like, I don't know, I think about those actors that want to gain weight, right? Because they're doing a role and they have to gain weight. They're going to need to magnetize and bring food that's going to help them gain weight because they really want that role. They want to get into that, that feel. They need to be 40 pounds heavier, whatever it may be. So they're going to attract certain things that give that to them. So it's not that it's bad or good, that there's bad or good food. It's just more that it's this whole system of light and vibration and magnetism that is trying to work in harmony. So when the brain kind of like our impulse overrides, or like that kind of like antiquated part of the brain overrides and be like, no, I want that cookie. It's overriding the natural magnetism of the body. So that's why they're like, we're not judging you at all. It's just that like you'll mess up like the flow of the system, and that's why we can't help you create the life you really want. So you're kind of almost like controlling this natural system that happens where it's like, oh, this is what I want. This is what I'm visualizing. Okay, now I attract things to help me create that thing that I'm visualizing. And food is one of those things that we attract that will help us create, which I thought was interesting too, because, I think one of the, like, at least for me, one of the biggest complaints is like, oh, it's just hard to, find that healthy food, or like have that healthy food come my way. It takes more work, like whatever that may be. I'm out in the country. It's, 20 minutes to a supermarket. And I found it so comforting to be like, you know what? Like if my system is like really doing its job and I'm not getting in the way with these like impulses, I guess I'm going to attract, the food that I need. So I'm going to like chill, and I'm going to see like what happens when I do that, when I don't get in the way. Will it be easier? Like, will eating the right foods be easier? Message number 5. Your body is a huge fan of detoxing. It was like, oh my gosh, detoxing. And it meant sweating, like was its number 1. It was like sweating. I underlined sweating like 3 times because it was saying that the body at the end of the day, like, is very magical. It does its thing, but like anything, it's also a place where it is constantly transmuting energy from the outside world, because the outside world is like a mix, right? Like there's a bunch of energy around, and we absorb all sorts of different energy, and it's trying to like transmute that. It also says like you are normal human, so you're gonna have stress, and it like needs to move through the pores. We're gonna get into it, but there's also like ancestral stuff that like it's trying to detoxify. So it loves detoxing practices. And it was saying that like the main things that it loves detoxing wise are sweating, breathing, water, and not only drinking water, but being in water. They were saying that like really works for the pyramid, and fiber. Like they were big fans of fiber. So I guess pooping, at the end of the day. So, because I think we think detoxing is like taking a break from food and stuff. And they were saying like more focused on like pushing things out, like clearing things out, like that, making sure that has happened, rather than, I know there's like all this talk about breaks, like the body needs a break to detoxify. They were like kind of saying that was like secondary to this kind of lifestyle of detoxing, which is like sweating, water, fiber, pushing things out on a regular basis. So as I was getting these messages, I couldn't help but ask, okay, but what about diseased, or what about especially those like very sticky diseases. I mean, I think about myself. I've had arthritis since I was 3. It has not miraculously gone away. Like, what in the world? Like, what is that? Like, if you're such a pyramid and so amazing, like, couldn't you have figured this out by now? So I asked that question, and it's a little trippy what I got, but I'm going to do my best to explain it. The body was saying, I am not physical. Like, this is something that we have to understand. The body was like, I am a bunch of information very tightly put together. I'm like a universe in a very small container, is kind of what they were saying. And I get that, like the body is amazing and so miraculous. And it says that what makes it look physical is how close all this information is. And what I felt like information was, because I'm a reader of energy, right? So I know that I can like hold my focus on energy and receive the information that's in there. I was like, oh, okay, like the cells, the DNA, like everything that we're made up of is information. And they were saying that the most inexplainable health issues that we have with the body actually come from this information. And they say that that's why if like you want to heal something in your body that's very stubborn and hard to get rid of, they were saying to go down the path of looking at your ancestral trauma, lineage, like going into ancestral healing. I thought that was so fascinating because, funny enough, last weekend, I had a healing with a healer who I love, which I'm going to share with you guys because was life-changing. Her name is Laura, and I'll put the link in the show notes for anybody that wants to do it. And I went to her specifically knowing that I actually went to her for my knee. I was like, oh, my knee wants a little something, because my knee is always asking for different healing. And there's like layers and layers of stuff, like whatever it's ready for. And I was like, oh, it's ready for something. And I was like, it's ancestral. Like there's something, and not to go into it, but what came through was like not what I was expecting at all. And I was like, damn. And like, it made so much sense for me. Like what was coming up for her was my grandmother from my father's side, who, guys, I barely know. Like she was alive for most of my life, but she was like not interested in being a grandmother, type of thing. And she's like a typical like Cuban, just like always telling me that I was fat. And I was like, this lady's crazy. Like this lady's hilarious. I never had like any, bad feelings to her. I thought she was very interesting, but everybody like talked bad about her. I was like, I don't think that's the whole story. And funny enough, when I was doing the healing, Laura was like, oh my God, you're like your grandmother from your dad's side. And she feels very misunderstood. And I was like, oh, and she had arthritis, guys. And who knows, she might have had it really young too. Like who knows how long she had it. She didn't have like that old person arthritis, like she had arthritis. And it was almost like that healing that needed to come through that was connecting me to her. And listen to this. So I finished the healing. I'm like kind of done with my day. And I go to my room, and in my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to clean out this drawer that I have of jewelry because it's been bothering me. I know it's messy. And I sit down. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through all this jewelry. And I forgot that I had this box that my dad had given to me when we moved from Miami to here, because my grandmother had recently passed. And he's like, this is the box of your grandmother's jewelry. Like, this is for you. And I never even had a chance to like look through it. And what do you think, guys? That was the first box that I found when I was going through the jewelry. I have not seen it ever. And it was like right after my healing with her. So I almost feel like she was just like saying thank you and connecting with me that way. And I'm actually wearing her necklace on today's episode. So yeah, that's what they were saying. Like they were saying that if there's something very, very stubborn, there's information that it's like a programming in these like cells of ours that are, they're not even off, because what they were saying is that as humans, we have a lot of like the human body has a bunch of different variations. And from like the universal perspective, my arthritis is not really bad or a disease. It is more just like a variation in the human, and like the body itself doesn't find that to be a problem, if that makes sense. And I know from a science perspective that does not make sense at all, but like I guess from a spiritual perspective, like they don't see it as a bad thing. It's more just like it's a variation. But you as a human, as like the owner of this pyramid, have the right to want the pyramid to be better, to want the pyramid to be something that works for this life, right? So let's say I'm trying to manifest a really active life. life, but I have a bum knee. So like that's not helping me in what I'm trying to manifest. So I want to increase the power of the pyramid. So they were saying that like that's when you go into the information that is in like the cells. And that's also why they were saying that science knows this, but from a different angle. And that's why we're gonna, like they were showing me like that, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, guys, but it was like all the cells within the body were like being laid out, and they were showing me that we're going to start to like pick and choose these cells as we create babies. It was kind of trippy. It was almost like, and I don't know how I feel about this, but I'll share it. But it was almost like they were saying that like going forward, natural conception is not that it's going to be rare, but it's like not really going to be everybody's first choice. Like they're going to want to like pick and choose a little bit, not in like, oh, let's pick the hair or whatever, but more from like, we do not want this, and I think this is already happening. I know that, but it's like, you know, we don't want this, this cancer that like shows up in my lineage a lot. So there's going to be that, but they were saying that that's not a guarantee, that you actually have to do like the healing, the energetic healing, like what Laura does, that will really support. So yeah, so Laura does, she does a few things, but it's like emotional code and stuff. I specifically asked for ancestors, but it's really like just things that your body is holding that is not working for your pyramid anymore, you know? So that's why I go to her. Yeah, so I'm gonna share her with you because I find that work to be very important. And then other health issues that seem to be things that can be like cured. Let's say something like an acne that actually can get cured. That is more, I know not all, you know, some acne obviously is hereditary, but let's say like something that you've been working on and you're like, oh, you know, it's gotten so much better. That is happening because of that law of attraction type thing that the body does. So like, that's when we say, oh, my body is having these problems because I'm living in a misaligned way. So it's like, oh, I'm working very hard. So, you know, I'm having brain fog or something like that. And that can get fixed from not working hard so much. And then the brain fog kind of goes away. They were saying that that is more like the body is trying to help you live into what your vision is. So it's like you have this vision, but then there's something that you are physically doing or physically eating, right? Because it could be like an allergy that is not helping the pyramid bring and attract and magnetize like what's going to help you live into that visualization that you see. So it'll kind of kick things out. It'll be like, oh, you can't work like that anymore, or like you can't eat dairy anymore. It's just not the vibration of what you're trying to create. And that's why some people can work like that. Some people can eat dairy. Damn people that can eat dairy. I actually can eat dairy. Well, who knows? Maybe my knee doesn't like dairy, but right now it's okay. But yeah, these things kind of get kicked out because they're not creating like the clear pyramid for the pyramid to be able to attract what it needs to attract for you so that your soul can live into what it wants to create. And then message number 7 is about aging. Asking for a friend, of course. I was like, I'm 42. Let's talk about aging, guys. Okay, so aging, they said, happens because we have less expectations for the body, which I thought was so interesting. So they were saying that as children, and I was thinking about my 7-year-old or even my, 11-year-old, right? Like the way that they move, they expect a lot from their body. You know, like Ethan, who's 7, he's flipping upside down, he's jumping, he's climbing, he's, pushing himself to the limit, he's falling asleep deeply. Like he is using his body more than me at 42. He has a lot of expectations for his body, and something happens as we get older. It's so interesting. They say that it's a mental, like thought pattern that has been passed down. I don't know, like, it's almost like, yeah, of course, it's harder to get the body in movement as we get older. We know that it's, we're less flexible, all that kind of stuff. But somehow the human understood that as like, that's a natural process, rather than being like, oh, we just have to expect more of the body. Like we need to like make sure that I'm expecting the same movements of my body as my 7-year-old is. And we kind of like lost that information along the way somehow. So they were saying that like the more expectation you have on the body, that you're like, no, I expect myself to be able to touch my toe. I expect my, skin to look this way. Like I expect that. That's where aging starts to change, and like where it really like lessens. So I thought that was fascinating. We know that to a degree, right? That's why we're like doing Pilates in our 80s and stuff like that. But I thought that it was just it was interesting to have like that mental shift, right? Like, no, you should jump this way. Like I should have that expectation for you. And when I have that expectation for you, I might drill you a little bit more. I might be like, we're going to have to stretch every day until we can touch the toes. So people that have more expectations for their body are the people that age better and look younger. So then I asked about beauty, because I was like, well, I hear the aging, like touch your toes, blah, blah, blah. But what about like my face, guys? Okay. Like, what about my aging? My actual physical aging, my beauty aging. So they said that the body also reflects how the person feels inside. So I thought this was like fascinating. So they were saying that happy people typically look younger. People who believe they're healthy, even if they're not healthy, like look healthier. People that are actually connected to their body, where they're like thinking good thoughts almost about themselves and about their bodies, tend to have, they look different, is what they were saying. They were saying that because we've had this thought about aging for so long, there's information in our body that tells us to make less hair or to do XYZ, and it's ancestral. So that's still there. Like they were saying that is going to take some time. Like as we have more expectations, we're going to live longer, which we're already seeing. But they were saying that, we start to lose hair, we start to get wrinkles, blah, blah, blah. But that is also connected to that same message that like there is information in ourselves from our ancestors. So like if that's what our ancestors thought, like we still have that in us, and that is evolution. Like that is the definition of evolution in many ways. So they were saying, like as we expect more and we want to like, look younger and stuff like that, we are going to find things that help us get there. But a lot of it is kind of, they said that we didn't even have like the full understanding of it, but it's something that like a Buddhist monk has, or something that they understand, or something that they're doing with their bodies and their energy that actually, we would like learn from, and it's actually going to change our appearance. So, okay, guys, who's going with me to like spend a summer with the monks to see if we can like look good? But then I asked about like surgery and like the Botox and all the things that we're doing. And they were saying that they didn't have any bad feelings about that, because they say that our awareness is moving faster than the body can, because the body takes time to evolve. So like a lot of what we're doing to kind of change our appearances, or the things like the injections and the things that we do, even like the, things like peptides or, hormone replacements, that kind of stuff. They were saying that that's kind of, science is always going to be a bridge into like what we can't yet do physically, because we're not there yet. So none of that's wrong. They were saying that the only thing that might be like a little tricky is that you might think a person's nice or happy because of like what they've been able to do to their body surgery wise. And that's like a little tricky for us. So that's why some of us probably do not like things like injections or whatever, because some people are attracted to it because they're happy. Does that make sense? But some people are attracted to it because they're not happy. And then we as humans like are used to, like we used to use that as a form of intuition to be able to tell if a person is healthy or not, specifically in dating, which is funny. Like as animals, we're like, oh, that guy looks healthy. He has teeth like this, or he's tall like this, or his skin color is like this. Like that's health. And now they were saying that that's actually one of the things that makes dating hard, because there's a lot of like manipulation, not just from our physical bodies, but like from the pictures. And this is like very confusing to the human, because the human used to be able to make decisions based on like how they saw the appearance of another human. So we're kind of like messing with that natural order. But again, not bad or good, just something interesting, basically. And that we, can always practice happiness. Again, something we got to go somewhere with the monks to get some information and practice having more expectations for our body as we age. And that truly is the answer to aging. I feel like we're onto something, guys. We can like make a lot of money if we write like an aging book based off like this like body collective that's talking to us. So those are our messages today. I am so grateful to our bodies and to the light energy that came to be with us, to share this with us. I really hope that you received exactly what you were meant to receive, and that you really take it seriously, and that you take some action with it, and that you hold on to what was for you. And as always, I hope that these messages were transformative, and I cannot wait to see how you create your dream life.